Our dear Pope Francis has been in the news lately, making big news with his outspoken comments on the Holocaust of the Armenians. And as I was praying over this morning, I was thinking, he seems to be doing, to me, my opinion, he seems to be doing what John Paul II did concerning Poland. Although his slant is against radical Muslims who are destroying life. And he's pointing it out, and he's calling them into the light so that the evil can be exposed for what it is. Sadly, we're living in a time where nobody really wants to talk about this. And I was in context, as I was meditating on the gospel, I was thinking, this is the gospel that gets everybody gushy. Oh, God so loved the world. And as I was reading this, you can look at this in another way. In this gospel passage, Jesus is calling everybody to take a stand and make a choice. It's a climate of choice, and it's a climate of choice that we're living in. It's like in the Acts of the Apostles, our first reading from today, where they're arrested and incarcerated. It's a message that's worthy of martyrdom and worthy of persecution. And Jesus is saying, do you want to be part of this message? It's very sobering. And so, if we want to just nuance this a little, when God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, not to condemn the world, but that the world might be saved. Okay? So here is God's choice. This is a choice God made. He made a choice to create. He made a choice to be faithful even when we're not. He made a choice to send his only Son to die for us. He made a choice to continue to promise us new life in the resurrection. And now he's asking us to make a choice. Whoever does not believe has already been condemned. So now you have a choice. Either you're going to believe or you're not. Why? Why have they been condemned? Because he has not believed in the name of the only Son of God. Here is man's choice. Are you going to believe in Jesus Christ? And are you going to even risk martyrdom for Jesus Christ? And are you going to risk political disfavor for Jesus Christ? Are you going to risk going to court over marital issues because of Jesus Christ? I was thinking about this. It's very possible that they could come knocking at the rectory door and say, Father, you're going to be arrested if you don't marry couples according to what the law says, as opposed to what your faith and your sacraments teach. Okay? The gauntlet's being thrown down. People preferred darkness to light. Okay, so a preference and an act toward a preference is a choice. And so what you see here developing is a climate for everyone to be put into a position where they're going to have to choose. Jesus is calling you to be pro-choice. How do you like that? For him. Okay? People preferred darkness to light because their works were evil. Isn't it interesting how what's going on with the whole the Muslim effort to expunge Christianity, it's being concealed and held in darkness. And I dare say, even at the risk of sounding like someone who's unpatriotic, but rather I think I am patriotic because I'm calling on people to be righteous in the views of our country for freedom, but it seems like this cloak of silence and darkness is a conspiracy with evil. It's a collaboration of political officials to make a choice for darkness, but we don't have to consent to that choice. And so when Jesus says people prefer darkness to light because their works were evil, he's saying that your actions are showing the fruit of your choice. And something without an action is a choice. And so I'm convinced that Pope Francis is finding himself in a position where he must choose to be a prophet today. And I'm convinced that he's doing to radical, violent Muslims what John Paul II did to Poland and to the communists. So here there's a climate of choice upon all of us, and it's upon the whole world. And it's a time for men and women of every nation to recognize evil and choose good, because not to choose is to choose. It's a time for men of every nation to choose light over darkness, or some are going to choose darkness, but let it be for them. But all must choose, and all will indeed be forced to choose at some point. Because if this current continues with this radical Islamic Muslim stuff, we're all going to be put into a position eventually where a knife is at our neck and we're going to be asked whether or not we believe in Jesus Christ. It's interesting that those Coptic Christians that were slaughtered, their families, after a few days of mourning, were rejoicing that their children, their parents, whoever it was, they were rejoicing that they were martyred for Christ. Isn't that interesting? Those who are not in the light by choice are in darkness. And that means if you didn't choose the light, you are in darkness. There's a push being made. God is so good. You could see everything that's happening right now is pushing everybody to make a choice. This is not a neutral issue anymore. Waves of martyrdom may continue, and waves of legislation which bring persecution on us, even in this country, are going to continue. But the waves of grace and mercy are going to rush upon everybody who desires to be in the light. We should be heeding our dear Pope Francis, who is displaying, being iconic for everyone to see, that a choice has to be made in our time. He has taken up the mantle to be a prophetic voice, calling on the faithful to choose the light and testify to the light by action. And as we saw in the Acts of the Apostles, no prison is going to hold the children of the light. Let us stand in prayer.